Okay, so guys, as we are going to learn Java, so first, for learning Java, first we will discuss what was there before Java, right? Why we need Java actually. If there's just something, like uh, Java, so why we need Java? So before Java, we have C and C++, right? So there was some problem in C++ and in C. That's why the developers introduces this Java programming. Okay. So let's see first what was there in C++. Let's see. So here I am writing. So I have two boxes. One is C++ and here I will write the Java. So this is the box, right? So as you know, we have different operating systems, like we have Windows, we have Linux. So in C++, whatever code you write for Windows, whatever code you write for Windows will only run into the Windows machines only. So because why this was the case that C++ code runs only in Windows machine. If you write the code in Linux machine, then that code will only execute and run in uh, Linux machine, right? Basically, what I mean that the C++ compiler generates the machine label a code after a compilation, right? So what was happening there? There was, suppose this is the operating system. This is the operating system, and this is also the operating system, right? So here the C++ compiler executes the code. It executes the code machine label, right? It executes the code the machine label language. Machine label language that machine can understand. Machine means that operating system can understand directly, right? So suppose if you change the operating systems, then you again have to execute the same code for that specific machine that machine can understand. Machine means that operating system can understand, right? So there was a problem with this, that if someone wants to move to one machine from another machine, means one operating system to other operating system, then they have to do the same things again and again. So what Java did, so Java developer, basically there was a company, Sun Microsystem, right? Sun Microsystem. So there was a team for developing the new languages, that was known as a green team, right? The team name was green team. So they have developed this Java. So what they did differently in Java against this C++, because we have the C++ and these guys were working in C++, right? So what they did, so here in C++, only we have the compiler, right? We have the compiler only that executes the code and produce the machine label language code, right? That machine can understand. But what Java guys did, Java guys just generated a name is JVM, right? That what this JVM does, I will let you know the JVM in deep, but first the thing is, the new thing that was in Java is JVM. They have the compiler, right? Here in C++ also they have the editor, right? In that they write their code, and they have the compiler and interpreter that compiles and interpret the code to the machine label language. Same thing, they have the editor and they have the compiler also, right? They have the compiler also to compile the code, and editor is to for write the code. But the different thing was they have introduced this JVM. So what this JVM does, so compiler does not produce the machine label code. Here it does not produce the machine label code, it generates the byte code. compiler will generate the bytecode here, and this bytecode will be passed to the JVM. So bytecode, whatever the bytecode you generate, it will be platform independent. Means if you compile your code in bytecode in your Windows machine, then the same bytecode can be used in the Linux machine. I mean, it makes the language platform independent, right? So what Java compiler does, Java compiler generates the bytecode that you guys are know that there, once you compile the code, then you will get a class dot class file, right, for the same name with the file name that you have written for your Java compiler. So in that class file, if you open this dot class file, then you will get this bytecode, and that bytecode will get passed to the JVM, and then JVM will generate the code that means the machine level code. It will generate the machine level code. So this JVM generates the unique machine level code that every machine can understand, because it generates the code from bytecodes, right? So every machine can understand, no matter whether it's a Windows or it's a Linux operating system. So these are the differences between the Java and the C++, right? And there are too many differences also, that there was some securities issues with the C++, right? And some exception handling was also not there in the C++. So Java introduces, like, if you try to access the in the array element, if you try to access the, suppose we have 4 element, right? So the indexing will go to 3, right? Because it start from 0. So suppose you have 4 elements and you are trying to access the 5th element, right? So in Java, you will get null pointer exception, right? Null pointer exception, because there is a security services that executes when you try to fetch the element that is not there in the array, right? So beyond the size of that array. So basically, C++ is also object oriented, right? And Java is also object oriented. Even in C++, we can achieve multiple inheritance, but in Java, we don't have multiple inheritance, right? We cannot achieve multiple inheritance in Java. Even, C++ has the advanced features than Java, that we can achieve the multiple inheritance, means we can inherit multiple classes in a single class. But in Java, we can have multi-label inheritance, but we cannot have multiple inheritance. We cannot, inherit multiple classes for a single class in Java. That is the restriction in Java. But due to this JVM, it's a very popular language in this world. So by using Java, right, what developers can do. So in this uh, in this era, so in Java is getting used to develop the enterprise applications. Enterprise applications means the software that is something big, right? So for enterprise applications, if I tell you the example, so the example is, like, about AWS, right? Amazon Web Services. That is the enterprise application services, right? So these types of services can be developed using Java. Also, you can use Java to develop Android, right? Android, and also some legacy software also you can develop using Java. So in the legacy softwares, you can say that there are some security issues, but even the Java is reliable to develop that type of softwares. So basically, this is the basic thing that you guys should know regarding Java and C++. Basically, I just differentiated between the C++ and Java to, you guys have some idea behind the mind that why we need Java, even we have the C++. That is already have the, object oriented programming and class based uh, things there in C++. So why Java, right? So this was the concept, right? It was not the machine independent, right? C++ was not the machine independent, but Java is a machine independent. That means it generates the bytecodes. That bytecodes can execute in every machine, no matter what the operating system is, right? Whether it's a Windows or it's a Linux operating system. So to write the code, let's now move to the writing the code of Java. So before writing the code, we need some, setup, some configuration in your machine to execute and to write the code. Basically, what I mean, first we need this editor, we need this compiler, and we need this JVM to, write code. It is to write the code, this compiler is to compile the code, and its JVM is to run the code, right? R- It will run the code in your machine, means in your operating system. So for doing these things, I mean, for editor, for compiler, for JVM, Java has a complete kit, right? A complete package, you can say, that is known as JDK. JDK stands for Java Development Kit. This kit has everything, means editor, compiler, and JVM inside this JDK. It's Java Development Kit. It's a kit that contains everything inside this. So let's move to the JDK and let's discuss something what is inside the JDK and how JDK will work for you, right? So let's remove these annotations from here. Okay. So suppose uh, this is the JDK, right? This is the JDK, and this JDK is inside. This is the JDK, and this JDK is inside your operating system. I mean, in your machine, it's inside your machine, right? So what JDK has, so suppose this box representing your JDK, right? So JDK has a JRE. JRE, it is, I am calling this as a JRE. So it's a new term, right? JRE. That is known as Java Runtime Environment. So this JRE has that JVM that I was, discussing for the JVM. So this JRE has JVM. JVM stands for Java Virtual Machine. Java, just a second. It is known as Java Virtual Machine, right? So this JDK contains this JRE and this JRE contains this JVM. JRE means the Java runtime environment. Environment, as the name suggests, right? It provides a environment. You cannot see the JRE and JVM. It works internally, but once you install, I mean, once you configure the JDK inside your machine, then JDK automatically, because this is a kit, right? This is the kit. So this kit has this JRE and this JRE has this JVM, and you have the compiler also here in this JDK, right? So what does you have the editor separately from this JDK? You have Eclipse or STS, whatever you want. There are so many editors for Java. So editor you use to write the code, write the Java code. then ZDK comes into the picture that will compile your code and will generate a dart class file. Your compiler does these things only, right? Your compiler will take your source code from the editor and will execute it, will compile it and generate this dart class file, right? When you run your code, right? You are compiling the code here. So after compilation, the dot class file will get generated. Then this JRE will come into the picture because there is a run, right? Java runtime environment. So here you are not running the code. You are just compiling the code. Once you try to run the code, means you try to generate the output, then you have to connect with JRE and JRE will make use of this JVM. Then JVM will take this dot class file and this JVM will generate the output that user can see, right? That you want to see whatever you have written in your editor, then JVM will produce that output, right? So this dart class, as earlier I have told you, right? This dart class has the bytecode. So this bytecode, this JVM understands this bytecode, and this bytecode will, executes here. So how this JVM works? Let's something, discuss regarding JVM, how JVM is working. So we have two things here. Here you have the compiler, but JVM make use of interpreter. Interpreter, right? What does interpreter? So, the output will come inside the operating system. So whatever this JVM will generate, the operating system will, show up to the user. So here the interpreter, here the operating system. Here we have operating system. So what happens here? So it takes dart class file line by line, executes the line. First line, it will execute first line first, then it will, pass this executed line to the operating system to show the output. Once the operating system will ask for the next line, then it will going to take the second line from this dart class file and then it will going to produce. That was the, initial phase of that JVM. When operating system was asking for the code, the next line, then JVM was going to the dart class file and, executing the next line and producing the output to the operating system. So what happens here? See, so during this JVM is, interacting with this dart class file, what was happening here? It was, idle. The operating system is doing nothing here. The operating system is waiting JVM to, to produce the output for next line. So that was, time taking process. So JVM will go to the dart class file and then, execute this dart class line one, then it will produce the output to the operating system. Then if operating system again ask for the next line, then JVM is, connecting to the dart class file and then executing the next line and then producing the output. So it was the initial phase of JVM. What they did, the developer what did, they have, make a buffer here. I mean the array here. So what they are doing with this array, they are executing no matter whether operating system is asking for the next line or not. So what they are doing with this array, this buffer, they are, executing this dart class file line by line and putting the line here. Once the operating system is asking for the next line, then they have the executed code in the buffer array. They are, producing at that time. So the process become very fast. this time after introducing this buffer array, right? So now in this uh, condition, the JVM is working like this. So it is not waiting for the operating system instruction. It is continuously, taking the lines from dot class file, executing it, putting it into the buffer array. And once the operating system is asking for the next array, next line, then the JVM is, just linking it to the array and, continuously providing the output to the input to the operating system, and operating system is working continuously to produce the output. Okay, so this is the complete working of uh, JDK, means the Java Development Kit. They have the editor, compiler, JVM, and JVM has the JRE. JRE has the JVM. Here you have the some libraries also in the JRE, that is Java Runtime Environment. So I think you guys have understand these things, that how the JVM works and how the JRE, what is JRE and what is JVM. So these things are internal working of Java programming language. So these setup you guys have in your system, to learn Java, to develop the code into Java programming language. Right. So first thing is, once you install this JDK, then you have all these things in your machine. You don't need to worry about, to installing the JREs separately and installing the JVM inside that JRE. So once you install the JDK, you will have that JRE and JVM automatically. Even the compiler will be also there. Okay. So that is the thing that I want to, guys, tell you into the introduction class. So we'll move to the JDK setup. I mean the environment setup in the next class, and we'll, write the first our hello Java code using these JDK, JVM, and JRE things. I mean, I will write the code into the editor, and the things will work automatically.